All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Stepan Nassyr. I am a part-time administrator, and I administrate the HAICGU cluster. And I'm going to introduce you to the system a little bit. Well, we have like two slots, each half an hour. One is an introduction, and one is like a hands-on. Experience has shown that generally, this will be more of a debugging session to get the users to have access and get them to be able to run what they need to run. So I will give a very short presentation of what you need to do in order to use the cluster, and then we will go on and solve everyone's issues and get everyone access. So first thing is, there is a lot of documentation online. You can visit this address. There is basically most of the things I will present here are also there, even if in more detail. So it's probably a very good idea to have this page open. Good. Well, let's talk about like the hardware of the cluster, or like the most important characteristics of it. There are 28 compute nodes and one development node. Each of those have two of those KubeEdge 920 processors. They have 64 ARMv8.1 cores, I think. And each of them has 128 gigabytes of main memory. The only difference between the development node and the compute nodes is that the development node has some SSDs in it, and the compute nodes are completely diskless. They boot from the network. Then there are the AI nodes. That's one AI training node, which has 4 KubeEdge 920 processors and 8 Ascent 910 NPUs, has 1 terabytes of memory, and there's only one of those nodes there. And there's also only one of the AI inference node, which has 2 KubeEdge 920 processors and 5 Atlas 300 AI inference cards and 500 gigabytes of main memory. This will become important if you then at some point start submitting your jobs to the cluster and want to make use of the AI hardware. There is only one node of each, so don't submit jobs that just do nothing for 2 hours, because then we will have a bit of a problem with as many users as are interested in using those. We also have I/O nodes, which they have metadata on some SSDs and have a lot of spinning rust as storage. They are currently, so they are running Lustre, and we've previously mentioned there is a bit of a problem with support for parallel file systems on ARM. The thing with the Lustre file system is it ran, but it crashed 2 times irrecoverably. So right now, in order for this to be a bit more safe, your user directories and so forth are actually running from an NFS storage, which may be a bit slower, but will not crash in the middle of the workshop and then all data is gone. So that would be quite bad. All right, so now onto the software. The operating system on all nodes is Rocky Linux 8.7, and we are using Slurm 2108 as the workload manager. The software stack is built upon a custom repository of EasyBuild configurations. EasyBuild is a framework for building and deploying software, and it is used in the HPC world quite a bit. And particularly interesting is that the way this custom repository is set up, the libraries that are available through the software stack are actually optimized to the system. They are built with the appropriate flags and so forth. There are many libraries and tools and compilers and frameworks available. I've listed some of them. And generally, it is probably possible to install anything in an optimized fashion into the software stack. Just tell us what you need. All right, so to get access to the cluster, like the usual procedure is, as probably outlined by the messages you got in preparation for this workshop, is to request access via email to haiku@fias.uni-frankfurt.de, and you need to supply your full name, your email address, and public SSH key in open SSH format, and then access will be granted to you. However, right now, if you do not have access yet, now sending emails and creating the accounts manually is going to be a bit problematic. So I think Kathy has a spreadsheet that you can fill, where you can fill your data out, and I have a script that will generate users from this spreadsheet. And so just do that, and then we'll see about the access. And the username you will get is going to be the first letter of your first name, and then your complete last name, all lowercase, and all special characters removed. And the first name and last name here means really like the order in which you have entered your data into the spreadsheet, because the very first word is going to be your first name, and the very last word is going to be your last name, because there are sometimes different orders in which names are written. The tool doesn't have AI intelligence to differentiate which is the first name and which is the last name, so it will just generate your username based on what you entered. Okay. Then, when you have submitted and got your access, you need to basically configure your SSH locally on your machine that you are using and add this passage there. This you can copy and paste from the website I have shown before. You just need to replace your username and the path to your private key. This is for Linux, Mac OS, and also the built-in OpenSSH on Windows, although the path there is a little bit different. I know some people are using, I forgot the name of this tool, but Mobile Exterm. Okay, so I have no experience with that, but there are people who have used it, so just ask and others will help you. All right, and then if you have this, you then should log directly onto the development node, and from there you can work. Please do not log onto the login node, which is just GWDG, because this is a very small x86 base node, and basically the only purpose it serves is to be a proxy to the other nodes. And you will also not be able to use the software from that node, and you will also not be able to work there efficiently. So please go directly onto the development node. Well, one more thing is, if you want to use the AI hardware, you need to be in the HAICGU group. And I assume that some of you have not requested access, even though you will need it. So I have wrote a script that if you create in your user directory the file HAICGU, it will add you to the group. So please just do that, and then I will automatically add you later.
So the file we have to create.
Just run this command. It will create an empty file which is named HAICGU, and then my tool will scan your user directories, and if it encounters the file and you're not in the group, it will add you to the group.
Is there a command you can check if you're already in the group?
Just type groups or group. I'm not sure with S or without S.
Well, it only says my name, so it's probably not in there.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And then, okay. Yeah, that's for the access and the basic requirements to work on the cluster. Let's talk about the software modules. That is the way the software stack is exposed to the users. you can type module avail and you will get an output similar to what you see in the screenshot here. By the way, before there were some complaints in the Zoom chat that the resolution was bad, and now I'm wondering if my presentation even it's okay, yeah? Okay, good. Yeah, you will see something like this. This is not all the software that is available. Most packages will only become available once you load a compiler like GCC and then OpenMPI. So if you do something like this, for example, load GCC 950 and OpenMPI, and then you will see that you have something like Boost, you have the CAN toolkit, which has the like the NPU accelerator software. You have your MindSpore, OpenCV, and so forth, TensorFlow, and yeah. So if you do not see a particular package in the basic list of, okay, first load the compiler and OpenMPI and then look again. Also, make sure you're actually using the correct tools, because here, for example, if you do not load any modules and you type GCC version, you will see that the standard GCC is just what is available by default in the operating system, which is GCC 8.5. Then if you load GCC 950, you can see if you type GCC version, this is now GCC 9.5. And then you can, for example, swap GCC 9.5 and GCC 12.1.0 modules, and then you will have GCC 12.1.0, right? So make sure that you know which version of a tool you are using when you're using it. One useful thing that I have noticed generally people ask for and then try to find out on their own is where is actually the software that you have loaded with the modules. And with the Easy Build stack, there is an environment variable for each package that you load, and that is EB root and then name of the package in all caps. And if the package has minus, then you just write MIN in all caps. And this variable contains the path to the actual software. So for example, you can also nicely see the hierarchy of the software stack. So this is the platform. You can have, for example, multiple platforms in a cluster. We only have one. You have multiple stages, then the software and the version of it. And yeah, you can just list the files inside of this directory, and you will see that this contains all the files that belong to this piece of software. Oh yeah, one thing that is important is the AI-accelerated frameworks. They support only older GCC, so every of those accelerated frameworks is only available with GCC 9.5. And so, for example, if you load GCC 950 and OpenMPI, and you can then load TensorFlow CAN, and then this line of code here runs this Python line on the AI training node, and this just prints out the TensorFlow version, which is 241. Yeah, the framework versions are a little bit older, but we will have an update of the software after the workshop. So if you need a specific version, just wait a little bit and you'll have it. One other thing is generally modules on the system are preferred to like containers or downloading external binaries or self-binary libraries or other tools. But if there is no other way that you can get the software, then it's okay, also completely fine to use a container or other binary or whatever else. But if something is not available, ask us first. Maybe it's not a big issue to integrate it into the software stack, and then you can benefit from optimizations. Now a quick word about Slurm. So Slurm is a workload manager. We have multiple nodes on the system, so you don't just run something in the terminal, you submit it via a batch command or a run command. And there are 3 partitions. The first one is for just the compute nodes, the normal ARM nodes, and this partition is called ARM-compang920. And then there is the A800 and A800-9000 and A800-3000 partitions, which are the training and inference partitions. Right now, they only have both one node. Yeah, you need to submit your job to appropriate partitions, because if you try to run, for example, an PyTorch example on the compute node, after loading the PyTorch CAN module, you will get an error because it will not be able to find libraries, which are only available on the training or inference nodes. Some basic commands for Slurm. With sinfo, you can view the state of the cluster and all of the nodes. For example, here you can see that we have 3 nodes that are currently down, 25 are idle, and so are all the inference and training nodes. And if every node, if your job isn't getting submitted, you should check with sinfo if maybe every queue is full right now. And simple jobs you can submit with srun. So for example, you can here nicely see that on the ARM-compang920 partition, if you ask what kind of architecture it is running, you will get the AArch64. And if you have something more complicated, you need to write a batch script. And this is what it looks like. I have used Pygmentize G, which is basically a color cat. And well, I'm not sure how it translates to online, but here the colors are kind of not really visible. You can specify parameters like which partitions to use, what your what the limit for the runtime is that you want to give to the job, how many tasks are there, how many nodes are there. And you can also load the modules that you need inside of this batch script. And then, for example, here you write srun and your command. And in this case, I am trying to just print out the PyTorch version. Then you submit this script with sbatch, and it will give you a job number. And if you then you will get output files which are called like slurm-job-number.out or .r for stdout and stdr. But you can also, with another sbatch parameter here, you can rename those output files. But then if you just look in what is inside of this file, you will see the output of your job. You can also view the job queue using SQ. For example, here, I've cheated a little bit. I've added a sleep command to the batch script before in order to get this screenshot. And that's how you see if for what jobs are queued, on which nodes they are queued, and who is queuing them, and so forth. So, any questions for this short presentation? Please ask.
Already people are saying it is asking for a password.
Okay, so we do not have password authentication. We only have public key authentication. You need to generate a public key in OpenSSH format. I have in some emails received a public key which I do not know what it is, because the system just said it's invalid. So please use OpenSSH in the command line to just generate the public key, generate your key pairs, and then send the public key to me, not the private key. The private key is only for you, and then you will be granted access to the cluster. Yes?
Maybe just to add one thing, I mean, what I found often is confusing. I mean, you may of course protect your private key, and it's of course good to protect a private key with a password. But this is the password just to protect the private key, to activate the private key, right? So you might be asked for a password, but it's the password for activating the private key, and it's not known to the server.
If when you created your key pair, you have entered the password, you will be asked for that password if you try to authenticate with your key pair. Yes?
What's the default time limit for a job? And are there
I think you can get interactive on the normal compute nodes. On the training and inference node, you will not be able to do so. I've disabled that. And I think you can just run the normal, I think you need to run something like srun --pty/bin/bash or something like this. Yeah.
and the default execution time limit?
I think it's very large. It's either 1 day or 5 days. I don't remember. But I mean, your job should finish by then.
Okay. You might have a job that's not finishing, or you create in the technical session after 1 hour, which is also something I experienced on HPC before.
Please, again, please.
I also experienced it that this default limit is 1 hour, and if you do an interactive job, it might of course take longer than 1 hour, and you suddenly get kicked out. So I'm just asking if I need to specify, I should specify it beforehand.
I think the job limit is 1 day and 5 days. I'm not quite sure what the default roll time is, so it might be 1 hour. But yeah, generally just specify the roll time, and please don't let weird jobs run that run forever, never end. And I have made the experience that some people have somehow managed to create Tmax sessions with srun that then did not terminate after the job terminated for whatever reason. Please don't experiment with very weird things. It's gonna be bad. Yeah. Any more questions? Anything in the chat?
Yeah, your usual messages in the chat that still ask for a password. I think people who have problems accessing and it's still asking for a password, I would suggest one thing: try to log in using SSH -VVV, and it should give you why it is asking for a password. And one more thing which I noted is that I think you need to change the permissions on your keys. Change mod 600 your keys, and then that usually works. So 2 things you can try. One is log in with -VVV, and then also change the permissions on your keys. If both doesn't work, just send us the -VVV output to HAICGU at or to me, or put it in the don't put it in the chat.
SSH VVV log is gonna destroy the chat. Please don't.
Yes. So whoever is not able to log in, please raise your hand, and we will try to sort it as soon as possible.
So I would suggest then now that People try logging in, people try loading modules, people try using Slurm, and I go around here and then also in the chat and try to get everyone to successfully connect. All right?
Yes.
Good. Then I guess this is over for the presentation part, and now comes the debugging part.